Let's talk about the normal human condition, right? That believe that talking about death on a regular basis is something wrong with you, or that you sick. That thinking about death on a daily, right? The people that thinking about death on a daily, that people are thinking that that's sick and something wrong with you, right? Let's deal with that because here what people like we, right? We can't really talk to any and anybody out there, right? Because the conversations wouldn't be fruitful and the conversations wouldn't be healthy or normal for us, right? Let's put it that way, right? So let's deal with the people who think there's something psychologically wrong with you because you just think about death on a daily basis, right? And that is a huge topic for you, right? Or me, right? So let's deal with the people are thinking you sick psychologically because that is a topic for you, right? So that is something that's happened every single day, right? Every single day, somebody in the family, somebody in somebody family just die. Every single day on the planet, right? Not a day does go by, right? When somebody family do die, right? There's not a day that does go by, right? When somebody friend or family do die, right? That is literally, not even metaphorically. That is a every day, every hour, every 2 hours, every 3 hours, every day occurrence. Every 30 seconds occurrence. That is a normal part of life, right? So let's deal with the topic that people thinking, oh, just because you're talking about this topic and you spend a lot of time on this topic, right, there's something psychologically wrong with you, right? You're supposed to be like, oh yeah, life, flowers, butterflies, rainbows, unicorns, right? Flowers, butterflies, flags, rainbows, colors, right? So let's talk about how people are saying something wrong with something called death preparation, right? Mental death preparation, spiritual death preparation, right? Let's talk about how people think, right? About how the Bhagavad Gita knowledge, right, is wrong knowledge when it comes to preparation for death, right? Certain things is wrong knowledge in it probably, right? But hey, it gives the formula for preparing yourself for death at the end of the day, right? So does the Quran, right? Because here what, right? You know who SICK? Who SICK? Or you want to know who SICK? Right? Believing in this concept of immortal, eternal life, right? That was SICK, right? That was SICK, right? Believing in a concept, believing in somebody, right, who done dead and gone, centuries of flipping go, right? And is still thinking that person alive. Alive in the spirit, alive, right? And still worshiping the dead, worshiping the ghost, right? I is the one who alive. Let me get straight. I is the one who alive, right? That person dead and gone. Make no mistake about it, right? Good. I is the one who alive, right? So here what, right? This for people who thinking, right? Just because you're talking about death, preparing people for death, helping to prepare souls, helping souls to accept the inevitability of death, right? Helping yourself to accept that, right? There's something wrong with you and that you need to see a fucking professional psychologist for that, right? Something is not wrong with me. I could prepare myself and I know how to spiritually prepare myself for the person, my own person, and person of people around me. Right? So let me talk about how people is think people who into spiritual work, right? Of preparing for death and preparing others for death. People is think, these people working death, right? And something wrong with you, something fundamentally wrong with you for that, right? If that is the position God assigned you to be in, right? Who's anybody to ball that you SICK psychologically because of it? If that's the place God put you to work because He know you could be effective in that area, right? Who's anybody to ball you SICK because of it? So I support funeral workers. I support funeral workers. I support funeral homes. I support people working in the death industry, right? Because here what? So what? So who? The people working in offices, the person working in doing serving people in tourist industries. What, all they gonna come and do that work? If that work is sick, let me ask you something. If that work is sick, who go and see about all when all you dead? Who go and see about all your family when all you dead? All you must think. All you must think, right, before judging people work in that way. Oh, these people is working death. These people is working debt. I like funeral homes, right? I like funerals. I like funeral homes. I prefer funerals more than weddings. And nothing is wrong with me for that, right? I prefer funerals more than weddings because funerals teach me something. Weddings don't teach me nothing, right? Weddings don't teach me nothing. Weddings is be a shit show and a pappy show to me, right? And then three quarter all it is end up breaking up the first night or the flipping marriage or the first week or the first year or the first 5 years or some shit like that. Right? So weddings is a big freaking pappy show to me. And weddings don't teach me nothing. Right? That's why I don't like to go to weddings. I don't fancy going to weddings. Right? It's not because I jealous somebody. It's not because I jealous somebody. It's not because I envy somebody. It's not because I don't like to see people progress. Right? It's not because none of them things. Right? I generally have a general dislike for weddings. And I get social anxiety in weddings. When at a funeral, right, I just feel at peace and I just feel calm, right? Let me just address this, right? I get social anxiety at weddings, and that's fine. You're free to have social anxiety depending on your personality, right? Certain people personality is this way, certain people personality is that way. It doesn't mean your personality wrong. You can't have a wrong personality, right? I just get social anxiety in weddings because I can't function around people dress up and once it have makeup and once it have high heel shoes and once it have ting on the garara, right? And this and that and the other. Right? I just get social anxiety. Right? So even when I did get engaged, I was simple on my own. I do my little powder, a little lipstick, slight little thing on my own, right? I ain't no big dress up, nothing, right? I spend no kind of money on my outfit, nothing like that. Because here what, right? I like a wedding to be like a flipping funeral, right? And I don't like I don't like typical weddings, right? That's why I don't really go to them thing. Right? I just prefer a funeral because go and sit down in peace and I just prepare my mind, hey, this is the inevitable. This will be one day lying on a box or lying on nothing or nothing. Or nobody might even do nothing for me when I die. Right? I might just end up being eaten in my room. Right? That's the fact that it matter. And it don't matter. But one day this going to be me. Right? That's just the way I just think. And what's the only problem with the way I just think? I know harming you by the way I just think. Nothing is wrong with thinking about death on a daily. So all you could go and marry yourself and do it is if it is I was the problem for you, right? And it's all this teacher of spiritual knowledge. If it is I was the problem, because if it is all it's saying, oh, all you do all of this just for me to read the Quran or whatever it is, right? If all you trying to say as I was all your burden now, will release me and all you could go and live all your life, be married, be happy, have children, go forth and procreate. Because you know what? I like that and I like to think about that and I like to think about that on a daily. Right? So leave me in my corner, leave me in my zone and all you could feel free to let go of me and marry on yourself. Right? Good.